What has been your unexpected NSFW moment with a stranger? I was in a museum in France. In room that was dimly lit in order to better show off the items on display, a man from behind me walked up next to me, stood super close and then grabbed my butt. I turned around to slap him, but when we locked eyes he had the most shocked, embarrassed and apologetic look on his face. He apologized profusely. I speak almost no French and then ran into another room. I heard him whispering to a woman and then she busted out laughing. I can only button that he mistook me for his girlfriend, and I like to think that some random French man occasionally cringes with embarrassment every time he thinks of our encounter. I met this girl on a bar crawl and we hit it off okay. Danced a little bit but sparks weren't flying by any means. She's on the crawl with a group of friends. We are all walking back to their hostel and when we get there she says she's going to bed. I was pretty disappointed until her friend looked at me and told me to come upstairs. We had sex in the hostel bathroom and at one point girl number 1 walked in. Using the logic from my extensive porn viewing, I asked if she would like to join. If I've learned one thing from pornog it was that she wouldn't be able to resist. Alas, she seemed to pretty easily turn down the offer. Got an ultrasound on my knee and when she was done she took a paper towel and wiped off as much of the lube as she could and klbutted me. Trying to be friendly and make small talk I was like, oh I bet you have so much experience doing that, right? Totally meaning since she works as an ultrasound tech she must wipe lube off people all day. But she got all awkward and it dawned on me that I just told this woman she has lots of experience putting lube on people and taking it off. I got a random WhatsApp message with a kiss emoji and then a nude of a pretty good looking girl lying down, showing her boobs. She quickly replied that it was a wrong number and asked me to delete it. I didn't know this girl. Neither do I think she was anywhere near where I lived. I thought it was just some sort of joke or troll. I have experienced weird random WhatsApp messages before where I luckily dodged the bullet of bullies trying to gain your nudes. Posing as a flirty girl with a random number and then share your photo with everyone. I didn't delete the chat but ignored it, thinking someone was pulling a prank. About 1 year later, I was cleaning up my WhatsApp chats and I see she had a new profile picture of her but with a guy that I didn't know either. It actually started to seem like the photo was legit. I just did the right thing and deleted everything. I was about 15 standing in a queue for an inter-town bus. The queue was quite long and we stood for some maybe 45 minutes moving slowly. At some point, this big-breasted older, 30-35, woman stood behind me and had her breasts pressed tightly onto my back. Like the queue was tight but she was really unnecessarily pressed on my back and sort of moving slightly. I knew obviously that this wasn't very normal nor necessary but it's only years later when I realized that she was intentionally rubbing her breasts on my back for a very long time and it was probably sexual. I was drunk and hooked up with a girl I had just met 45 minutes earlier, ended up in the back of her car with a bunch of people watching me through the window. I hate to admit it but I couldn't remember her name until she told me the next morning. Went skinny dipping in Sri Lanka with 2 girls I had just met a few hours earlier. It was pretty unsafe because it was dark and we were all drunk. Don't feel like typing too much, but when I was a freshman in university I would oftentimes leave the school late during exam time. One night around 9:30 p.m. I sat in the back of the bus which was relatively empty. I turned the overhead lights on and started reading my textbook. Out of nowhere this girl comes on and decides to sit right beside me. There were several empty seats she could have chose. She turned the lights off, touched my thighs and said, "Do you mind?" The horny teenager in me said, no, not at all." She then proceeded to give me a hand job. She then gets up and goes to the front of the bus for the rest of the 30-minute drive. Almost seemed like a dare her friends gave her, but I don't care. I got a hand job. Met this hot girl at a dance club in my early 20s. Go back to my car. Commence sex. 5 minutes in, her girl squad comes and finds us boning in the car. About 6 of them or so. Pretty attractive friends too, and they start cheering me on. The girl I am boning keeps saying my friends are hot while she rides me hard. Her friends tease me by hugging each other and kissing their necks outside of the car and fondling each other while I am trying hard to not come so I can enjoy the show. I was hoping they would join but they only teased till I came. I lost it and couldn't last any longer when they started flashing their tits. I figured this would probably be the only time I could come while looking at like 8 pairs of boobs lol. Shortly after they all left. Been chasing that high for the last 12 years. Well, it didn't happen with a stranger, but with a friend. We played Kirby together and suddenly she put her hand between my legs and asked how I feel. I was recently getting impressions taken of my teeth so I could get Invisalign. While the dentist was holding the tray on my top teeth, he very casually said, "I'm impressed by your lack of gag reflex," and that's how I died of embabutment in front of my hot dentist. I was having a bathroom remodeled in my house. Sound did not travel in this place. I worked on a regular schedule so when I would be home and awake could not be counted on, so I gave the plumbers access for when I wasn't there. One day I am sitting on my bed facing the mirror to put on my makeup. I hadn't gotten dressed yet, so anyway the plumber's assistant must have knocked and getting no answer came in and started up the stairs to the bathroom. Halfway up I finally heard him and he got the full view of me. He just dropped his head and I quickly got up and closed the door to finish getting ready for work. I am certain the poor guy thought I set him up. The only thing that redeems me from that assumption was that the next day I got home while his boss was working, so I sat down in the living room and turned on the TV. He didn't realize I was there till he was halfway down the stairs and it nearly gave him a heart attack. When I was 12 years old, me and my mom, God bless you, wherever you are now, dear mother, went out to a barber shop to get my hair cut. There was this lady with a shirt. The shirt has like a whole thing. I don't know how to word it. It gave like this open view on some of her breast. Needless to say, I asked my mother to never go back to that particular barber shop ever again in fear of the lady finding out. I kept glancing at her chest. I mean, not gonna lie, it was pretty huge. I was visiting some friends when I was 19 and we went to a club in the town. Started dancing with some random girls for a while. Then things started getting weird. She forced my hand down her pants as we were grinding, like right in the middle of the dance floor. I start to get to work even though I'm super uncomfortable, and eventually she turns around and asks if I want to go back to her dorm with her. Obviously I say yes and we start the 20-minute walk back. All the way back she's being very handsy and at this point I'm eager for the outcome of the night. We get back to her dorm and we start to get naked when all of a sudden she gets a phone call. It's her dad. He's waiting outside to take her home for the weekend and says he's heading up. I end up having to dress quickly and rush past her dad as he's walking down the hallway. No idea what her name was even, but that was one of the weirdest cock blocks ever. I have a couple funny stories from my early 20s, but this was definitely the weirdest. Not really a stranger but someone I knew. We played a card game with the loser doing a dare or truth. We both end up naked and he ducked me. Fairly tame one. More embarrassing than NSFW. I was walking around the mall with my friend as we were really into our conversation about a video game or some other dumb topic. I was trying to make a gesture or motion with my hands that were initially at my side. Just as I was closing and moving my hand up, a girl and her friend squeezed by us. And of course my hand full on grabs her butt. I couldn't have grabbed it any firmer if I actually tried. She even jumped a little. I let go and both of us stop and she looks back, understandably confused and angry. I must have looked like a deer in headlights, because after a second or two she just kinda laughed it off, turned back and kept walking. So all in all turned out well. No sexual harassment charges. I was at an EDM concert trying to get up to the front. There was a lot of pushing and this girl in front of me pushed her back into me. I gave her a little push to try to get her out of my way. I was then next to her and she bumped her hip into mine. At this point I had no idea what her problem was. I bumped back. A couple booty bumps later and we were grinding. Political anime trope of tripping over a bag and getting a full of titty. Back in high school had no idea who the girl was, but damn she made for a soft landing. Dude was whispering dirty things in my ears like I'm gonna duck you so hard later. Feeling creeped out I turned back and his expression changed from surprise to embarrassed. Turned out he thought I was his wife. I'm not even a woman. Went to a bar on Thanksgiving. Saw a cute girl sitting by herself. Bought her a drink, but told the bartender to not tell her who it was from, because she looked sad and like she wanted to be alone. He comes back a bit later when she was off talking on her phone and said she wanted to know who bought her the drink and if it was okay to tell her. I say okay. She asks if I want to go to a different bar and can I drive. I say sure. Then in the car she goes all porn actress and ducks the S out of me in the driver's seat in broad daylight in a parking space in front of the bar. It was uncomfortable. We get to the next bar and join the crowd to get beers. A guy walks up and she and him immediately start arguing. Turns out it's her brother, and he's there to convince her to come back to the dinner at their parents' house, where she just introduced them to her fiance and then disappeared. When he turned to me and asked who the hell I was, I grabbed my phone out of my pocket, gave the just a minute finger, turned around, and got the duck out of there like my hair was on fire. Was about 15 driving home with my dad from his workplace, staring off from the passenger seat wondering what a life he had having to work weekends, and I spot a McDonald's across the street. It had a huge glass window around a playground where at that moment two pretty 20-something females seemingly happened to lock eyes with me. Dad turns over to look at what I'm looking at, probably thinking, this guy's hungry. At that moment the two women lift their tops to reveal two sets of the largest tits I had ever seen in real life or photo. At that point, me and my dad just start laughing our heads off. I was driving on a freeway. I bought a car that didn't have a roof and she was topless. Two teenagers flashed at me when I was driving to our ex-GF house. I bought this gorgeous new dress that is light cream colored with a tree on it and red coming up from the bottom like a cheesecloth dipped in wine. I was so excited to wear it to school. Was walking across the quad and my underwear rolled down completely under my butt. No worries, I think. I'm fully clothed. Well, a dude was walking behind me, pretty slowly. Didn't think anything of it other than it was odd he walked that slow. I am very slow walker and this dude looked fit as hell. Anyway, fast forward to me walking in the bathroom to go pull up my underwear and a girl says loudly, I can see all of your butt. And that's how I found out that dress was see-through in the middle. Sister's friend asked me to hold her hand while she got her nipples pierced. Side note, almost got hand broken. I was delivering pizzas and got caught in a pretty heavy Florida thunderstorm. I was on my last delivery and was trying to meet someone at a specific time later, so rather than wait it out I charged out of my car to the person's door. After some frantic knocking, a woman opened the door and pulled me inside. I had gotten there earlier than expected and she had just gotten out of the shower and was only wearing a towel. 19-year-old me had seen way too many porn movies start like that, so imagine my disappointment when she handed me a $20 pizza was $16 and opened the door back to hell.